Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome back to our Story Play series this week. Today I am talking tips for photography related to capturing colors for our day in the life documenting adventure that is happening this Saturday, April 1st. As always, if you are watching this some other point in time, you can totally do this kind of project on your own. My goal today is to share some simple focus tips for you to think about as you are telling the story of your day through the lens of color. That's where we're at today. Let's dive in. So, reminder, our reason why for this project is not only just documenting daily life and the stories of regular life, but it's because color is fun, and color can be a really fun entry point into storytelling. And it's also a really fun way to stretch and practice using our creative muscles, right? We are going to embark on a really fun color treasure hunt as the method of telling the story of our day in the life. So pay attention, have fun. That's the goal. Let's talk about a couple tips. I've got two main tips that I want to focus on, mainly because I think sometimes when we take a class or we are getting some inspiration, sometimes it can just be a lot of information. And so my hope in just sharing a couple quick things with you today is to give you something really specific to focus on. So number one is I want to invite you and encourage you to be deliberate in your photo taking this time. What does it mean to be deliberate? Being deliberate is doing something with intent, right? We are heading out. We're waking up on Saturday and we are going to take pictures of color, pictures of colorful things in our life. If you're following along with me, I have 8 colors that I am focusing on, but you can take pictures of lots of other things too. Look for things that delight you that can be added into those story buckets that we talked about yesterday. But this idea of being deliberate is what I want you to focus on. And under that heading of being deliberate, I have 6 tips or 6 ways of looking through the lens of your camera as you are capturing color to think about. A couple things to think about here. So let's go through these 6 tips. These are photos that you saw. Most of them are photos that you saw or may have seen in the first video and the kickoff video from this week. But I want to show them again here with some emphasis on what is deliberate about them. And being deliberate in photography is a lot about composition. It's also a lot about emphasis. So number one thing is show scale. How can you take this colorful object? Maybe you've come across a colorful object in your environment and you would like to show it in a way that shows how big or how small it is. Playing around with scale is a really easy way to be deliberate in your photography. So whether you're holding something in front of your face or you're placing a small object by a really large object, think about ways that you can show your colorful object related to something else, right? That's how we are able to understand the scale of that object. Number one, show scale. Number 2, look up. This is one of my favorite tips in photography, looking up and looking down, which will be a tip coming up in a minute. But looking up for color. And one of the things that's really fun about looking up is that light can have a big impact on different colors. So when you look up, in this case, you look up from, you're standing on the ground, you're looking up into the trees. One of the coolest things that I love about this particular shot is the different tints and shades of green that come about because of the way the light is hitting the tree, right? The light's hitting it from the top. So you're getting some shadows, you're getting some lights that are bright or some leaves that are brighter, some that are darker. So taking that opportunity to deliberately look up while you are taking shots this coming Saturday, or really anytime too, may give you another entry point into other beautiful colors or other pieces of your life that maybe you don't always look up and see. So we've got scale, we've got looking up. Next, we have find and or create contrast. So contrast is one of my favorite design techniques in photography, in layout design. Opportunities for contrast. So scale can be something that shows contrast, right? If you have something really small with a really big background, or you have a really big flower in front of your face, right? There's some contrast that's happening there. But most of the time, what I'm thinking about with contrast related to color is something bright against something dark, or something dark against something bright, right? In this case, it's oranges that are on top of a black cutting board. So you can either be deliberately looking for contrast, or you can be deliberately creating contrast in how you place the elements that you want to photograph. So let's say you decide, yes, I want to do an orange for my orange color. I love eating oranges. You could take a picture of the oranges in the drawer, or you could cut them up into cool shapes, arrange them on your cutting board, and deliberately take a photograph that emphasizes the contrast between the lights and the darks. So finding and or creating contrast is another way to be deliberate with your photography. Like I said, we talked about looking up. It's hard not to talk about looking down too. As I was looking back through my photos to try to find an example of just a lighter color or a white, I'm thinking of towels, the peach of our hands there. This is actually a photo that I took for our Pieces of Me project, and it was for the hands page. So I had been getting my nails done. I loved that the technician that I was working with had a bunch of tattoos. She had text on her fingernails. So looking down for color too. What happens, it could be your feet, it could be your shoes, it could be things that are growing in the ground. When you look down, or in your house, think of if you're someone that has a bunch of kids like me, or you have teenagers, what do teenagers leave on the ground? If I went into either Anna or Audrey's room, my 14-year-old daughter's rooms right now, I would probably find something colorful on the floor that I could take a picture of in there. So thinking about color in that way, again, being deliberate, looking up, looking down, right? Deliberate ways to capture colors in your life. This one I thought was really fun. This is another deliberate way, right? Just the concept of setting up a shot. This is actually a photo that Audrey took a couple years ago, and she literally just rolled up a piece of paper. She took a piece of paper like this. She rolled it up and she held her camera behind it and then took a picture. So it has the emphasis on the actual daffodil there, and it creates this really cool framing, right? So she's framing the subject of her photo. So framing that colorful daffodil there. I think with this invitation to be deliberate, using the lens of color to tell the story of your day, it invites creativity in the kinds of photographs that we're taking. And I think just having a color challenge really invites creativity in the kinds of photos that are being taken. So I want to invite you to embrace that on Saturday and to really have fun with it. Turn it into a creative challenge. Use it as a creative challenge to switch your brain on into a different mode. Many of us are used to doing day in the life and, taking pictures of our everyday things and telling the story of our day. This time it's a little different, right? We're kind of turning it around or turning it on its head in a way where we are focusing on the colors first. And then how can we use those colors to tell the story of our day? Because when we tell the story of our day, it doesn't always have to be from, morning until night and every hour. Just taking the opportunity to focus on a story lens, which again, in this case is the lens of color, and then getting deliberate about the way that we take the photos can be a really fun way to exercise your creative muscles. The last one I wanted to put on here was just, what about dressing yourself, right? This is still kind of setting up a shot, but as I was flipping back through old photos, I saw this one of myself and I was like, ooh, yes, I do have some colorful clothing. I could put something on. I could take a picture of myself working out in the yard. That is another opportunity. Or you can dress your kids up. Like if you have a yellow raincoat, you could put a yellow raincoat on them and have them jump in some puddles. Like this can just be such a fun, creative challenge. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited about looking around the house and having this be the emphasis for the day. So getting deliberate. Again, let's just review. Think about scale, right? Look for opportunities to show scale of your colorful object. Look up. How do the colors change when you look up? Do the colors appear different? Is that more interesting for your photo potentially? Look down, right? Talked a little bit about that too. Find and or create contrast. I would focus in this case with this particular project on light and dark. So light colors contrasting with dark colors, and or the concept of small things versus large things, right? Those two can create contrast as well. Setting up a shot, playing with some props, maybe playing with your colorful object as a prop, right? That can be something that's a fun thing to do. Maybe you have a favorite mug and you want to set it up in a way that really emphasizes the color of it. It's just going to be fun. And I think it's going to be really fun to see what people put together. And then dressing yourself, right? That was another opportunity to be deliberate about the kinds of photos that we take for this particular creative challenge. The other thing that I wanted to emphasize for you guys today, in addition to being deliberate, is the idea of simply filling the frame, right? Getting closer, especially with this kind of a project where the invitation is 8 specific colors, really getting up close to your objects, whether you're using your iPhone, and iPhones now have really cool macro modes, right, where you can get up close. But filling the frame is also something that can happen after the fact, right? After you've taken the shot. So I wanted to show you an example of that as I give you something to think about for your documentary on Saturday. Here's a picture that I took last weekend of my daffodils. There's some issues on here related to exposure, but we're not going to worry about that because I just wanted to take a picture as an example. So here's the original, out of the camera, not edited. And what I wanted to show you is that filling the frame can happen when you're taking the picture, but it can also happen after the fact when you're doing your editing or cropping. So here's again, this is just the original, kind of the original format, just in a square, right? I cropped it to a square. But then I wanted to show you a couple versions of getting closer. And this is only happening in the editing, right? I didn't take these shots that were actually closer through the lens of the camera, but it gives you an idea of the different things that you can do and the opportunities that you have in front of you to get playful with color and with composition as you get closer. So there's my third one. It's closer still. And then I've got another one where it's even closer. So the color of the flower is filling the entire frame. All right. So again, what I want to reiterate on this one is that there isn't one individual one of these photos that is any better than the other ones. They are just options, right? And as we are taking photos, we can think about getting closer, right? Or we can be moving our body closer to our subjects. What I really want to invite you to do here with this particular day in the life is play. Just play. Play with color. Play with looking at the things that are already existing in your everyday life. Notice the color. Document the color. Use that as an entry point into your storytelling. Again, sometimes I think documenting can feel really serious. Sometimes it does to me, right? You know, I'm telling stories about my life and things can feel really precious and, you know, just all kinds of different things can come up in your mind. Let's take that down a couple notches and let's just have fun. Let's have fun with these cameras that are always available to us. Or if you're using a bigger camera, that's also always super fun. I think I'm just really excited about looking for color and I'm excited to be doing it alongside of you. Okay, so as you go into Saturday and as you are thinking about opportunities for taking photos, and maybe you wake up and you feel really excited in the beginning and then you get distracted or you got other things going on, which is regular life. Here are a couple ideas for you to help you refocus on taking the photos. All right, number one is go for a walk. Regardless of where you live, whether you're in the city, you're in the country, most of us are in some sort of a seasonal change right now. Even if you're in a place where there's still a lot of snow, there's other little things happening. Going for a walk in your neighborhood, looking for natural colors that are occurring, that can be a really fun way, and doesn't even have to be natural colors, right? It could be a car, it could be a toy left out on a driveway, right? These photos don't have to have meaning for you beyond just the exercise of hunting for color. And I think that that's an important point because you can totally, there's a variety of different ways that you can look at this particular project as we use the lens of color. You can look at it as an opportunity to tell stories about the things that you own, right? And use color as the entry point into that. You know, maybe it's your yellow toothbrush, or it's your red bedspread, or your blue blanket, right? Something like that, something that you own, that you love, that you can write a little story about, right? That's one way to approach it. Another one is to simply just have those 8 colors in mind and take as many pictures as you can over the course of the day of things that are that color, and really play around with being deliberate as you take those pictures. Get really close, look from above, look from below, all of those things that I talked about earlier. So you can do all of those things when you go for a walk as well. So keeping your eyes open and paying attention is a big part of this experience. This is another tip as you are embarking on this in your home, and maybe you are planning to leave your house on Saturday and you're just going to have a nice Saturday at home doing whatever the things are that you like to do. Here is something that you can try. So pick a room in your house. Let's say I'm going to pick Anna's room. I can go in Anna's room. I'm going to stand in the room, like in the doorway. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to count to 20. Just so that I have like a fresh, clean slate. And then I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to see what color captures my attention the most in here. What thing, what object, what group of objects that are colorful or a specific color, what captures my attention? And then I'm going to take a picture of that, right? That's looking at it with fresh eyes. That's going in there. It's giving yourself a moment to just take a visual break before you open your eyes. You can just any room in your house and see where did those pops of color occur and document those, right? It can just be as fun as that. It can be as fun as I'm just going to embark on this treasure hunt. And through the process of the treasure hunt for colors, you will be telling a story about your day. Okay. All right, so another idea is just simply, what are the colors of the food you eat? You could probably find all 8 colors potentially in the food that you eat over the course of the day, or maybe not, and maybe it's a lack of color, and that will be a whole different story too that you could potentially tell. That might be something about what delighted you about that day. It could be one of your observations about the day that maybe you don't have a lot of color around you, and maybe there is a reason for that, or a method of living for you, or, all kinds of things there could be all kinds of reasons for that. So what colors are the food you eat? These are things that you can come back to again and again if you're feeling like you need a boost. So in addition to going for a walk, if you go to, a favorite spot in your town, maybe it's a downtown area, it's a shopping center. It's like an artist's date, essentially, right? You could go on a little date with yourself or grab a friend and say, we're going to go on a color treasure hunt. We're just going to go walk around this particular area of our town or this coffee shop and see what colors we see, right? This can be so fun. It can be such a good creative boost that is one of those things where it's just magic. Just sometimes magic happens. So let's leave some space and some room for that as we embark on this day in the life. There you go. Simply be delighted by the colors in your life. Go into it with that intention, right? Again, colors are fun. Let's go into it with that intention that you want to be delighted and you want to see the things you own or the things that you see every day with some fresh eyes. So again, just a couple tips today, just a couple things to think about. Those main 2 being, be deliberate as you take your pictures this time. Really go in with some specific intentions. You already know that you're going to capture 8 colors. How are you going to do that? Think a little bit about that in advance. And then don't forget to fill the frame. Get closer. Play around with getting closer and see what that does for you. Again, you can do that as you're looking through the lens of your camera, or you can do it after the fact as you crop. All right, so tomorrow, actually, before we talk about that, this was a quote that I just came across that I thought was really great. It just says, consider the seasons a challenge for your photography. If you follow the natural turn of seasons, it feels as though you are granted a new set of paints to work with every couple of months. I think this is one of the reasons why I love being outside so much and I love working in my yard, is getting to experience these colors, naturally occurring colors from flowers, from trees, from the grass when it's alive or when it's dead, like all of those different things, for me is a big piece of the way that I experience life. And I love being able to look through the lens of my camera to do that as well. All right, so tomorrow I'm going to be doing a live Q&A on YouTube. I'll put the link underneath this video. It's going to be happening at 11 a.m. Don't ignore the 9 days because this one is when I'm recording it. So it will be on YouTube. It'll be a live Q&A. You'll be able to chat on there. This will be my first time doing a live Q&A, so I'm looking forward to it. If you have questions in advance and you aren't able to make it on the live, you could always leave those questions on the blog post or in the YouTube comments today, and I'll try to address those for you tomorrow. It could be anything related to day in the life, related to colors, related to words, related to photos, related to my setup, anything related to this particular project this time. So that's going to be, again, happening tomorrow. It will be recorded if you're not able to make it, and will be archived there on YouTube and on the blog. All right, so you've been here for Tips for Photos. Tomorrow we're doing live Q&A, and then Saturday will be our documenting day. We'll see you guys back here again tomorrow.